Hey, welcome. That was the Cat Can Can posted by a reader on BCF's annual fundraising post. Welcome to Occam's Razor. This is Blazing Kefir Fridays, where we do a cold read through of the best news aggregate for people who think just like me. I'd like to thank BCF for posting these live streams and for his tireless commitment to publishing a site every day for coming up on 20 years in February. As you may be aware, BCF has just had a fundraiser, so please support his site. And finally, the chat is up. So please feel free to ask anything, keep it clean, and don't be abusive. And if you're watching on Rumble, please give us a thumbs up and a follow, and let's go straight to BCF site. Give us a quick refresh and access denied. Sorry, let me fix that. I realized that my VPN, every day I have to reset BCF site to approve the site. So instead, we will just give it a quick. And we're up. Oh, look. That's my post. His post. Thanks again. Blazing Catfur. Here we go. Trump. I am giving serious consideration to revoking Rosie O'Donnell's citizenship. Well, the Trump does say a lot of outlandish things. President Trump announced on Wednesday that he is giving serious consideration to revoking Rosie O'Donnell's citizenship despite her being a natural U.S. citizen. The president made his announcement via his social media platform, Truth Social. Honestly, I haven't been keeping track of Rosie ever since she moved back to her own historic lands of her family. Back then, when the lizard people that she came from used to roam the lands of Ireland. So that's where she's living now. I don't really care. Hunter, victim's family outraged, alleged 12-year-old hitman got bail. Again, yeah. In Canada, the kid is out on bail. Of course he is. What did he do? Steal a chocolate bar? Loose an Xbox? Ooh, I don't know. Think this is interesting enough to open up this new link in a new tab and see what this is all on about, especially after the mayhem, the misery, the death, the injuries, the assaults that have been going on in Canada. Of course, it's been getting a lot more coverage recently as it continues to escalate in our society. But what else do you expect when you are marching 1,200 migrants into Canada every single day? Every single day. And each one of those, they're getting assistance from the government. And at 1,200 a day, do you think they are really getting completely properly vetted that they follow our same rules, ethics, and moralities in our society? I don't think so. Let's have a quick look here, see if that page is loading. Hunter, kid is on bail, of course. Nope. According to the cops, the budding Luca Brasi, just 12 years old, was allegedly hired to murder a Markham man in the driveway of his home in the middle of the day. Detectives say the targeted shooting occurred in the area of McGowan Road, 14th Avenue, around 5:20 p.m. on August 14th. And here's the chaser. The boy was on bail for another violent offenses at the time of the shooting. Officers found the victim suffering from gunshot wounds. Luckily, he suffered non-life-threatening injuries. Every day, our country is becoming a fantastic place. Paris talks 26 countries to ensure peace in post-war Ukraine. In Paris, recently, where they've been trying to prep their hospital and all their first aid stations to be prepared to receive mass casualties next year because they're trying to precipitate a world war. That Paris, that France, a total of 26 countries have agreed to participate in efforts to ensure Ukraine's security once a peace deal with Russia has been struck, President Macron of France said on Thursday. Macron said that the US, whose support is seen as vital for Europe's attempt to prevent further Russian aggression in the future, was backing the plan. He was speaking after a summit of the so-called Coalition of the Willing in Paris, which was attended by President Zelensky of Ukraine and co-chaired by Sir Keir Starmer, although the Prime Minister part remotely. Oh, the one time he gets an opportunity to be part of the gang, he does it remotely. I guess that wasn't in his schedule to deal with his finances overseas at the same time. And this, anybody who's read or followed history I suggest you go back and start looking what happened before and then during World War One, because these people are all repeating the same mistakes. And I think we already have World War One level death tolls in Ukraine, where the undisclosed numbers are purported to be 1.7 million casualties and or missing Ukraine soldiers on the battlefield. And those are people that will never go back to the battlefield again and not be able to be in society without help, probably because they've been, had parts of their body torn off. And with conscripting 60-year-olds in Ukraine, I'd say peace is pretty close on the horizon unless these idiots like this guy here decide to start sending their own troops in there because Ukraine is running out of troops. Klassen, the new report on unexpected deaths reveals the cost of COVID era censorship. Indeed, there are so many costs in society. So many people have left Canada because of this. The data they didn't want you to see and the lives lost because of it. COVID era proved to be test for free speech. In the face of supposed misinformation, Canadian politicians, public health officials, colleges of physicians and surgeons, and other professional regulatory bodies, and many regular Canadians showed their true stance on free speech. Many doctors, nurses, statisticians, and other professionals who dared to challenge the official COVID narrative were silenced, censored, and threatened with the loss of their license if they disagreed with the dominant narrative. And in fact, licenses were taken. Licenses continue to be taken today. The COVID fascism of the requirement of the injection continues today in many different areas. So many people left Canada and healthcare. I mean, recently, whether they're talking about this new college that they want to open up in Ontario to fast track doctors coming in who may or may not actually be completely proficient in either of the two official languages in Canada because, oh, we got to do something. Yes, well, it goes back to this, doesn't it? You started the destruction with this and you still haven't acknowledged this. And until this gets acknowledged, the pain and the misery and the destruction and your inability to address these problems will continue. What a comfortable income looks like in Canada, according to a new survey. Well, I'll tell you what a comfortable income looks like. It's whatever the MPs are giving themselves as a raise annually on April 1st every single year. It's a comfortable income. It's legislated every single year. They get a raise regardless. For many Canadians, an unusual household income of $100,000 is necessary to feel comfortable, according to a new study, a survey. However, the amount required to feel at ease differs depending on age, the size of a given household, and whether they own their home and where they live. Indeed, what a wishy-washy way to address our failed economy as people slip into poverty. The West is playing an international game of risk with the Muslim world. How many times have I heard this narrative when it comes to the Muslim world? In the board game Risk, the goal is world domination. You achieve that by battling other players within and across continents. The best strategy is to take and hold Australia. Once secured, you can build up your troops while defending the single point of access to keep your opponents at bay, then attack in a methodical style and slowly expand. This strategy doesn't always work, but the notion of finding an easy defendable base where you can husband resources and use it as a launching pad to attack others is sound. Who's writing this? Where are they going with this story, I wonder? I really do wonder. I wonder if they will actually even address the ideological, political, social components of the belief in Islam that takes you from cradle to grave, from sunrise to sunset every single day, determining what each and every one of your actions are going to be. I wonder if they're going to deal with the people of the book, the only three other authorized religions that are recognized in Islam, which is Zoroastrianism, Christianity, and the Jews. All others, I guess, would fall into what my right hand possesses. Hmm. Don't send aid to Afghanistan. Hmm. Yes, I used to get aid when I was in Afghanistan. Well, care packages, not aid. Afghanistan Muslim married girl 6. Yes, unfortunately, it happens. There's a lot of things that happen in Afghanistan. It is a dirt poor place. Yes, there was an earthquake. No, the aid we send won't go to the victims. An earthquake hit Afghanistan. The Taliban are claiming 800 dead and thousands injured. The Europeans and other countries are promising to send aid. The United States of America should refuse to join them. Here, BCF adds, Canada has no business sending tax dollars to that Islamist dung heap. Plenty of Muslim states to call on. I agree. I've been there. It is a miserable place. Very little water, eking out an existence in a land that is completely, constantly oppressed by an ideology that keeps people within a third world ideology. It's a horrible, horrible place as it stands now. Teenage workers hit hard by tech disruption. Societal destructive immigration policy. Desjardins. I like this. Population growth. Exactly. They will never address what the real problems actually are, especially if they've caused them. We are hiring part-time, full-time staff, cafe counter staff. Please drop off your resume. Yes, along with the other probably 5,000 people looking for jobs and in Ottawa or Toronto, any large city area that have just been cram packed full of the migrants on the taxpayer teat, putting them up, trying to stimulate a false growth of the economy. But that time is running out. Ottawa. The new report argues the rise of gig work, artificial intelligence, and rapid population growth are souring job prospects for Canada's youngest workers. Really, I could see when Canada's youngest workers this summer were going out to places to get a part-time job, an entry-level job, and going into every one of those entry-level areas and seeing all these temporary foreign workers taking these jobs. The Desjardins Economic Report released Thursday comes as conservative leader Pierre Poilievre cites decades high youth unemployment levels to attack an immigration program for temporary foreign workers. Statistics Canada latest labor force survey shows the unemployment rate for young people aged 15 to 24 hit 14.6% in July, nearly 15-year high outside the COVID-19 scamdemic. Yes, I remember a very high unemployment for we youth in the early 80s. And all through the 80s, it was very difficult to find a job. But if you wanted to, even then, it was hard to find uh, part-time agricultural jobs in the area. Because every summer, I mean, the farmers are going to put in their crops, and then they need help to. But they always, I mean, there are other people that would work this work every bloody year, and other students. But you had to get in there quick. I don't know what happened with today's generation. I guess they just gave up on actually working for a living because you just get handed so many things now. Maybe that's why they felt the need to start replacing those. Although there are industries in Canada that have depended on annual annual temporary foreign workers coming in every single year. Of course, like everything, liberals have to get involved with the program, use it for their own purposes, and then ruin it. And then if somebody points out that the fact that they've completely screwed the thing up, they'll go back and go, oh, but the conservatives had it before. You didn't complain before them. Because for them, every argument they make comes down to moral relativism. Graham Lineham's arrest shows we need a UK First Amendment. Isn't that crazy? A comedian, one of the main writers for the Father Ted series, has 5 armed guards meet him at the airport. And the thing is, he's not even a UK citizen. He's not even a UK citizen. And they arrested him for hurty words on a tweet. What was it, over 6 months old? UK is an authoritarian shithole, and Canada is on its way right there because liberals want to bring in the same kind of digital legislation that is getting this guy arrested. Oh, they're going to say, oh, it's to protect the children. And then the very next day, they arrest comedians. The co-creator, Father Ted Graham Lineham, was arrested at Heathrow Airport on Monday on suspicion of inciting violence. His crime, criticizing trans ideology on social media. No sooner had Lineham disembarked his flight from Arizona than he was apprehended by armed police. In a post on Substack, he explained that his arrest was for 3 posts on X. One of the tweets read, "If a trans-identified male is a female in a space, he is committing a violent abusive act. Make a scene, call the cops, and if all else fails, punch him in the balls." And here is a X post that's by Riley Gaines. It says, "This is how Graham Lineham shows up for trial in the UK just days after being arrested in London airport for posting offensive tweets. This is how you deal with the trans mob. Double down. We're cheering you on." And he's wearing a sign around his neck that says, "There's no such thing as transgender." Let's see this video.
Do you have a few words ahead of today's appearance?
These guys, oh well, I'm never going to say anything.
Yeah, so you got a comedian here that's got more balls than all the UK coppers put together. England's Raise the Colours inspires flag protests in Dublin. Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful to see all these nationalist flags flying all across these Western nations in the face of their governments, basically showing them that we've had enough. We've had enough of your BS, and we're holding up our flag. What's even worse in the UK is the councils there. The councils all being run by far left-wing radicals. And they're not the only place on this planet that has far left-wing radicals in their city councils, by the way. Uh, Calgary and Edmonton, NDP hellholes those places are. Those would be the same kind of places, I bet you, that would take down Canadian flags if people did the same thing and started hanging up on their lampposts there. There is a beast slouching towards central Dublin, and the authorities aren't quite sure how to deal with it. In recent weeks, hundreds of Irish tricolours have been affixed to lampposts across the Irish capital, mirroring the patriotism, vigilante patriotism of England's Operation Raise the Colours. So being a patriot is vigilantism. That's insane. What began in the tattered suburbs of Ballyfermont, Coolock, and Finglas is now pressing into the more bohemian quarters of the inner city. We object to the unauthorized erection of these decorations. Ooh, a little sexual innuendo there. The erection of those decorations? Read one letter from residents. They dishonor the flag by flouting official protocol and are in breach of Dublin City Council's rules on the decoration of lighting poles. Hmm. Yes, don't want to be violating those rules. All these rules made up by people who make up rules that don't include you. Canadians are fed up with the woke identity politics. Yes, just what we need. More Jack Meeks. In the April of 2025 federal election, the new Democrat Party was nearly wiped from the Canadian electoral map. The NDP was reduced to 7 parliamentary seats, 5 short of the 12 needed to gain official party status. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh, one of the worst politicians in recent memory, lost his own seat. The once proud standard bearer of the Canadian leftism was reduced to a mere 6% of the popular vote. If anybody has been following the NDP rules for their party leadership race, you will be not surprised. You will be not surprised to find that they are doubling down on the insanity, on the bigoted insanity that makes some people more equal than others when it comes to being allowed to vote in NDP. There's just imploding in insanity. Asylum seeker found guilty of sexual assault of girl 14 that triggered huge protests outside Bell Hotel in Epping. Of course he is. A migrant who tried to kiss her a schoolgirl? Oh, there's a typo there. A migrant who tried to kiss a schoolgirl and told her he wanted to have a baby with her before later groping a woman who came to her aid was convicted of sex offenses today. So this is what happens when you don't vet your migrants, when you don't ensure that they share a common group, a common sense of ethics and morals with what your society was built on. Because for them, there are no consequences for their actions. And back home, obviously, there were no consequences where he learned how to do this. And who the hell signed off on letting this guy into that country? Nobody will face any consequences for that. We all know Keir Starmer's responsible. Ethiopian national Hadush Gerbasali Kibatu 41 sparked a huge anti-migrant demonstration in Epping, Essex, and prompted the local council to try to shut down the town's Bell Hotel where he was a resident after his arrest in July. He made inappropriate comments and tried to kiss the 14-year-old girl as she sat eating pizza with friends on a bench after school. He's just lucky that she wasn't carving up her pizza with a hatchet, like that little girl in Ireland. Or was that Wales? Either way, it's quite the iconic picture. The crumbling of Cologne's multicultural consensus. Last week, news of a roundtable agreement banning criticism of immigration in Cologne made headlines, not least because it caught the attention of Elon Musk. 7 parties from the center-right Christian Democrats, the CDU, the SBD, the Greens, the Left Party, had signed the so-called Fairness Agreement, pledging not to criticize asylum seekers or migrants during election campaigns. The agreement has existed since 2017, but now ahead of the municipal elections in September 14th, it is finally cracked. Yes, that is the only way that the far left, people like our liberals, maintain power, and that is by controlling information. Every time they tell you that, oh, you can't say that, that's racist. You shouldn't be talking that way. That's not a nice way to say that. Oh, that's it. They will use every trick in a book to avoid talking about what is actually happening, what is actually going on, and what the truths are. And they will couch it in words, and in the end, they will call you a name because that's all they ever have left. Rubenstein, the truth about Canada's residential school abuses. Oh, fifth grade's gravy train. Choo choo. Finally, the 2003 final report of British Columbia's RCMP Native Indian Residential School Task Force, also called Project ENIRS, was released August 26 thanks to access to information requested by the Investigative Journalism Foundation. The task force was created in 1995 to investigate sexual and other abuses in the province's Indian residential schools after the Alberni RCMP met on November 3rd, 1994, with unnamed representatives of the Nuuka Tribal Council who claimed that 100 of its people had reported alleged abuses during their time at BC's Indian residential schools. Well, it's all a mess, and all of it has been made worse by continually giving land acknowledgments to dinosaurs at the beginning of meetings. Uh, that was me saying dinosaurs because that's who I would do a land acknowledgement for if I had to at the beginning of any meeting I would have to be at. Because I would first like to acknowledge that this land was once roamed by dinosaurs and that we should acknowledge that they were here first before any of us bipedal humans, any race. And with that, we've come to the end. And it's, just short of half an hour. That's all fine and dandy. We'll be doing more of these regular daily broadcasts as we now start to wind down our summer garden on the other gardening channel. I would like to thank all of you for hanging out till the very end. If you have, that's outstanding. Please give us a follow. Please give us a comment. And we will see you next time. Thanks for coming out. And we will end you with the can. Here it goes.